Welcome to COD Gaming. In today's video, I wanted to focus on becoming Master Prestige in Call of Duty WW2. One of the main things I wanted to focus on is it worth prestiging and what happens when you prestige. The main thing that I wanted to focus on in that is the pros and cons. So I've kind of made a little short list of why you should prestige, why you shouldn't prestige, but a lot of it's going to factor down to your overall score per minute and then also how often you actually play this game. I would estimate that an average score per minute probably is somewhere between 225 and 275 for an average player that just picks up the game. A player that plays a little bit slower, maybe doesn't really get too many kills, will probably be sub 200, and a player 300 and above is probably moving a little bit faster. 400 is pretty insane, and 500, they probably got crazy kill streaks regularly, fast-paced gameplay. So now on to the main reason I wanted to talk about is the pros and cons. So let's look at the pros first. So pro number one is it adds checkpoints for you to track your improvement. So basically after you prestige the first time, maybe you write down where your stats were, and then you prestige the second time, you write it down again, and slowly you're making progress over time. One other reason you might want to prestige is you like having extra challenges to complete. After you prestige the first time, it unlocks a new series of challenges. So if you're looking for a particular calling card or you're just a completionist, you'll have more challenges to complete for those sets. The next point is probably the most important to most people, is that extra class created slot. So if you want to go ahead and prestige once, you're only going to have 6 slots. But you prestige 10 times, now you're up to about 16 different slots. So when you play the game, it's great if you just want to keep everything at level 55 and never prestige. That's cool, but then you only get 5 slots. By prestiging all the way 10 times, you will have a total of 16 slots, which is amazing when you want to switch between ARs, LMGs, snipers, different modes, war, hardpoint, team deathmatch, different streaks, everything. It makes it ideal so that you spend less time between lobbies setting up classes. Also, what it tends to be a downside of prestiging is you lose all your stuff. You got to start back at level 1. But the benefit of prestiging is you get an unlocked token, which you can use on anything. Pretty much after you prestige about 3 or 4 times, you already have your ideal class, at least to get you through the lower levels. Maybe you want to unlock a higher level gun or a higher level basic training or a higher level score streak, so you can tie in your perfect class. But at the end of the day, usually by the time you prestige about 3 or 4 times, you at least have your favorite class, and then you can kind of build off of that. So another part of prestiging that people like is having another element of progress, and that's through XP. A lot of times people hate staying at the same number and just getting stuck there. And the final thing is supply drops. Every 5 levels during your first 10 prestiges, you will get an extra supply drop. So that equates to 10 times 11 for 55. That ends up being 110 extra supply drops over that time. Might not sound like a lot, but free supply drops are free supply drops. Another reason to prestige. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the cons. So the cons list is very short. The only 2 things: time consuming, and then you have to start back at level 1. What we're going to do is talk about that time consuming part, because a lot of times people say, I don't play the game enough. Why should I prestige? I don't really want to go through all that time. I'm not going to never master prestige. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. I ran a short little survey, a little poll to find out what people's score per minutes were, and then also how long it takes them to prestige once, twice, 3 times, however long. And the average came up to be around 1 day, which for most people and pretty much everyone is 24 hours. So we're going to use that as the measurement. Obviously, if your score per minute's a little bit higher than that, 250, you're going to do a little bit faster. Like mine is around 18 hours, but my score per minute is closer to 315. Someone on the slower end, maybe at 200 score per minute or lower, it might take them maybe 27 hours to 30 hours, depending on what they do. So how does that actually factor in to the remaining of days left? So right now, we're sitting at around the beginning of February, and the new game, Black Ops 4 maybe, will be coming out towards the beginning of November, which gives us about 275 days until the new game comes out. If you continue to play beyond, that's a different story. So let's assume you just got the video game just today. You went to the store, picked it up on February 5th. You played it first day. How many hours do you need to play to actually get to that master prestige? If you're that average player at around 250 score per minute, what you're going to be looking at is approximately 6 hours a week. So if you play 3 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday, you're going to hit Master Prestige. If you play 1 hour a day, you're going to hit Master Prestige. So keep that in mind. I mean, that's not wholly unrealistic that you won't hit Master Prestige just by playing this game regularly. So just keep that part in mind, that it's completely possible to prestige if you just play this game on a regular basis, because you don't have to play it 6 hours a day. Obviously, if you played it 6 hours a day, probably get there in half the time, a third the time, a quarter of the time. So it really just depends how you want to play it. But at the end of the day, there is a progression that will happen. You're going to get better at the game, and then hopefully those pros outweigh the cons. If you only play 1-2 hours a week, prestige might not be for you. I have a friend in that scenario. He's staying level 55, not going to prestige, because he plays maybe 2 hours a week, got a busy schedule. There's plenty of you out there that got busy schedules. But then I have myself and a lot of other people I know that can play this game about 5-6 hours a week. Some even 5-6 hours a day, depending on the schedule. So just keep that in mind. You can master prestige if you really want to. So I'll skip to the point of the match where I actually get the master prestige emblem and level up to that level 56 once I prestige 10 times. So right here, get the kill. You can see master prestige, got a long shot, and then it's going to go on to say that I'm level 56. And then it starts to progress all the way up to level 1000. Just keep in mind, level 1000 is a true grind because that one is roughly around 40 prestiges. So you'd have to do the math on that one. Everyone will be pretty different. I think if I continue to play at the pace I'm at, I'll be really close by the time the new game comes out, but probably not likely. We'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and look at some of the different stats and other things that you get for this achievement, which should be a pretty big deal, but it's kind of not a crazy big deal. So looking at the after action report, you can see it's going to level you up, get this little bar going, and then kind of show you that you leveled up to the next prestige. So right there, the icon changes, and you're still going to get these little rank up tokens, which are kind of pointless as soon as you hit it probably around level 40, just because there's no real point in anything at that point. So let's go ahead and skip a little bit further when I go to the headquarters and look at a little bit other things as well. So now that I'm at the headquarters, I'm looking for anything special going on, and pretty much nothing happened. Obviously, I'm at the top of the leaderboard just because I got a lobby where no one's there. But even going to talk to the general, nothing happens. There's no special thing you got to do. It just says you're already there. You're master prestige, soldier rank 56. And that thing where it flies over and gives you a little special greeting and all that stuff that you've done on the other prestiges doesn't happen. See my KD's 2.23, 312 score per minute, 13 social score, nothing crazy there. FG was my favorite gun in the beginning. I still haven't caught up any gun or found a gun to replace it. But you can see different things, like you can just look at all your overall playtime and your streaks. My favorite, obviously, the fighter pilot multi-kill machine. I'll probably do a video about that one, tied with ordnance, just because you can streak spam crazy. So stay tuned for that. And then pretty much the best division in the game is infantry. You can see that at 2.4 KD, and all the rest of these are around 2. So obviously I have a favorite run there. Different modes, you can see I play a little bit of everything. Most of my KDs are 200 or 2+, and then all my score per minutes are around that 300 to 350 range, except for Dom and Gridiron, just because those modes are typically slower score per minute because 50 per kill. So even if you go off, it's a little tricky there. I don't really use the tacticals. And then pretty much looking at leaderboards, I'm 15,000. So there's 15,000 people that have already played more than me, which is kind of crazy considering. I'm not going to really go into too much of the challenges, but I completed a decent amount of challenges. Obviously, when you focus on challenges, you complete more of those. But the other thing you get is this little fancy calling card. And you may have already seen it from other Master Prestigers in your lobby, but it's just a combination of all the different calling cards that you get from prestiging 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10 times. So you can see it's the guys running. It goes from the smallest guy all the way to a real person, and then they're all running together. You get this fancy little helmet to show off. I don't even usually run around with the helmet, but you get the fancy Master Prestige helmet, which should look a little bit cooler, more flashy. You should be able to design your helmet something. They should have made it more rewarding in that sense. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know where you are level-wise and if you plan to get all the way to Master Prestige, and maybe if this video has swayed you at all. If you did enjoy the video, I do have a 75 goal for my likes. If you can help me out with that, very appreciated. Go ahead and comment down below. That does help the video, even if it's just to say hi. And then go ahead and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Turn those notifications on by ringing that bell. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.